Alright, what we're going to be doing today is cutting out the long wall. Now the long wall is the same as the short wall, it's just double the length. And what we're going to be doing first is doing straight cuts. So we're going to do all the vertical ones, and then we'll flip the page over and do all the horizontal ones. The first ones we're going to do is we're going to cut straight down, and it's just a straight cut. And then we're going to go start right here, and it's going to go score, cut, score, cut. Now what a score is it's just a light running of the blade across the paper. You don't want to cut all the way through, you just want to cut on the top part, okay, just so it can make a fold. Now, so we'll do the cut, score, cut, score, cut, go over here and do the same things that we did over here, score, cut, score, cut, and then once we flip it over this side, we'll do cut, score, cut, score, cut, cut, score, cut, cut, score, cut, cut. And then we'll put the tape on the back of this part, fold it in the middle, and we'll have our box, and it's completely done. Now, what I like to tell everybody is you want to use a ruler if you're just getting started. The ruler helps you to make a straight cut. I've been doing this for a while, and because I have a self-healing mat, it's this green thing right here, it helps to grab the tip of the blade and helps you to create a straight cut without using a ruler. Now, you don't really have to be that accurate on a lot of these cuts. The only thing you really need to be accurate on are the scores down the top part of the wall and on the bottom part. Now, if you're off on that, where you're moving all around, making a wavy wall, it can look pretty cool because it gives it texture. But if you're off on an angle, it'll make the wall not work properly with the doors and windows, and it'll make it so it doesn't stand straight or sit flat on the table. So you really want to be careful when you're doing the scoring of the tops and the bottom of the wall. So here we go. We're going to start first with this part right here. Now, what everybody should notice, or one thing you should know, is when you're cutting with an X-Acto blade or an art knife, the main part that cuts is not the edge. Okay, most people think it's the edge. It's actually the tip. The tip is the most important part of your blade, and a lot of times the tip will actually break right off, and that's usually because either you're pressing too hard, you're not on the proper surface, or you're holding the blade the wrong way. Now, how you want to hold it is just like a regular pencil, and when you want to sort of put it as parallel as you can to your surface, and you want to pull with your arm, not with your wrist. Okay, pulling with your arm helps you to keep a straight line, and usually if you look straight at the blade on a longer cut, you can really focus and really see what's going and what's coming next. So what we've done here so far is we've gotten our cuts here. I've scored this part here, cut here, and scored this part here, and then cut this part off. So now we're going to do the same thing over here right now. So we're going to cut. I usually like to start from the top as far up as possible, and even off the page. So score this, cut, score, cut. And now don't worry if you're off a little bit. You can always go back and fix it. Okay. So we've done those two sections. Now we're going to flip it over and we're going to start up here. Now this part, again, this is a flap. You don't really have to be that accurate on that. So I'm just going to go down pretty quickly and get that off. And now we're going to score. This part here is what you want to take your time on. This is where you really want to be careful and make sure that you make it as straight as possible. Now don't push too hard. This is just scoring. Okay. Now this, again, we're going to cut this part, and now here's another section that's really important. Now there's a dotted line here that's sort of faint, but you can see it, but you just want to make sure where the dark and the light meet, and it's the same line as this flap. Okay, that's where you're going to be making your score. So we'll cut and then we'll score. Take your time on this one too, because this one's quite important. This is what's going to give your wall the straightness. Okay, same thing over here. And then we're just going to cut, again score here. This one's not that important because that one is important. That's the bottom part of your wall. Now this part is just part of that flap. It's not that important. You can actually just go real fast here. Now make sure you don't get your fingers behind there. If the blade gets caught and jumps, you're going to lose a lot of skin on your finger. These are quite sharp. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to check to make sure we've done all our scoring, and we do that just by bending and make sure all the parts bend. Now, if it starts to break up in certain parts, you know you've scored too deep. It usually can just be fixed with a little bit of tape. Okay, now you'll notice here that I left this section on. The reason I'm leaving this on is to show you guys a little bit on how you can make a solid wall. So now you see this one's on. What you're going to do is you're going to choose one of these, and you're going to go in 1/4 of an inch, and you're going to score it. Just 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to just choose one of these. From the outside, go in 1/4 of an inch, score it. And that 1/4 of an inch right there is going to be where the wall folds in. Okay? So now what we're going to do here is we're going to put tape on the back of this. Okay? This is our double stick tape. Now there's two different kinds that you can get. Okay, you can get this at Walmart. There is permanent and there's temporary. You want to make sure that you get the permanent. You get the temporary, your walls are going to be falling off and coming apart during the game, and it's just going to be a big mess. So usually how I measure this, I just set it here, pull it, just get it a little bit shorter than what's the actual wall, the actual page, and if there's any excess, you want to take and you want to cut that straight off. If it's sticking out, it's not going to help, and it'll make it look ugly, and you'll have some problems with it. Okay, so now we've got that set up. So now all we're going to do is we fold this section in, and this is going to fold directly in the middle, and just let it go where it needs to go, and you'll have your wall. And you just pop that open, and you'll. Okay. Now, what you can do with this section right here, if you just fold it in, you get sort of like a V shape that goes inside. This gives it its strength. But now the reason I left this part out is because you can fold this and you can put a little tape on right here. Fold this in, and then take this section, and once you cut this one off, you're gonna have one's gonna be 1/4 inch, one's gonna be cut off, and you'll tape it down, and then you'll have a solid part. Okay, you'll have a wall that has an actual closed off to it instead of one that's a V shape. I prefer the V shape. It's much faster, and it's not a permanent, so you can actually, when you're done, or if you want to store your things, you can fold it out, fold it flat, and you'll have you can keep it in a folder or whatnot. This just works easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and cut these off now. Okay, stick inside. Bingo, for our first long wall. Now the next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing a short wall, and I'll show you how to do the short wall. We'll just keep the V inserts there to give it the strength. Okay? Alright.